Hi, my name is Maggie, and here's some things that you probably already know about me. I'm a senior, I'm homeschooled, I'm in the Carter group. I'm normally the quiet kid who's not really in the center of things, and I don't normally say a lot of words. I've grown up at Southeast, and I've been a Christian my entire life. But here's something that you probably don't know about me. I'm an orphan. My parents passed away when I was 6 years old. My mom passed due to complications with a surgery, and 6 months later, my dad lost his battle with cancer. I was young, and I didn't understand what was happening, so I thought they left me. I often blamed it on myself and thought that I did something wrong. After my parents passed, me and my siblings moved in with a family that I did not know at all. And not long after, my brother moved to college, my sister moved out and lost contact, and my new sister got married and moved 9 hours away. And that was just the beginning. I had a ton of friends leave me, stab me in the back, and move. I went through toxic relationships, and I tried to find validation through acceptance from others, especially guys, which I never got. So at a very young age, I developed major abandonments, trust, and self-esteem issues. That, on top of my family life beforehand, meant that a mental health battle was on the way. When I was younger, I wasn't allowed to have feelings, emotions, or opinions. My sister was always at the center of attention, and I thought that no one had time for me, so I always learned to bottle it up. I was very stubborn, I had bad anger issues, and I just didn't know what emotions meant. But as I grew up, I didn't outgrow that. And as my life got harder and grief was thrown into the mix, the battle got more difficult. I was also just a scared kid. I was terrified of literally everything. From water to animals to foods I've never seen before, you name it, I was terrified of it. But my biggest fear was talking to people. I mean, I couldn't even say hi to someone. There was literally a time when I could not say hi, and I hid behind my parents and I cried because they told me to say hi to someone that I've known for years. And honestly, I didn't even start to outgrow that until I was in high school. So as you can guess, being on the stage by myself talking to the entirety of HSM is absolutely mortifying. Even though I outgrew not being able to say hi, something that I still struggle with is not being able to talk about myself. I felt like a burden and weak when I talked about my problems, so I wouldn't talk to anyone about anything. And it's still something I have a hard time with. It's not very often you'll catch me talking about my problems to someone else. At around age 10, I started becoming very depressed and having very bad anxiety, but no one knew. And people didn't know for a long time because I didn't want them to. It was so bad, it was paralyzing. It made me numb. I couldn't get out of bed, and I was constantly exhausted. And at a certain point, I didn't want to live anymore. But I put on a smile and covered myself with a mask and pretended that everything was okay because being weak was worse than being in a little bit of pain. No one knew how bad it was until about a year ago when my legal guardians put me into therapy. About 8 months ago, I was clinically diagnosed with intense anxiety and major depressive disorder. So it's still a daily struggle for me. My mental health was one battle, but my physical health was a whole nother deal. In 2019, my doctors found a heart murmur. Turns out I have this thing called a connective tissue disorder, which basically affects the structures that literally connect and hold my bones together. This caused me to have 2 medical problems called pectus excavatum and scoliosis. Scoliosis means that my spine is curved and twisted in a way that it definitely should not be. And pectus excavatum means that my chest was sunken in and my sternum was pushing against my heart and one of my lungs. Once they found out my heart was being compromised, there was no second thought. I had to have surgery. This surgery is said to be the second most painful and difficult surgery to go through, right in between gallbladder removal and spinal fusion, which I almost had to have that one too. I actually had to go through this surgery twice because the first one failed. This threw me into an even worse state of depression because of the pain I was in and how much I had to quit because of it. And my anxiety worsened because I was afraid of hurting even more. Throughout all of this, I tried to find ways to cope, often throwing myself into sin and giving into temptations and distracting myself in any way I could possibly think. I was hoping that it would make me feel better even the slightest bit. Spoiler, it didn't. If anything, it just made it all worse. Everything I tried failed. Nothing made me feel good. But when I tell you I felt like a dead person walking in a semi-alive body, I'm not lying. I was empty. I was gone. I was a lost cause. I felt useless and hopeless, and I felt like a waste of space. Now, as I said, I'm not the kind of person who opens up. I don't like to talk about my struggles, my family, my past, my low points, and my toughest battles. Because I don't want pity. I don't want to be looked at differently or looked down on. I don't want to be known as the orphan or the sick girl, too fragile or less than. I don't want to be treated any differently than any of my friends. So why am I telling you this? Well, because Brock asked me to, but mainly because I'm still here. I've overcome, and I'm stronger and happier than I've ever been. All of this has happened in my life, and I'm the best I have ever been. And don't get me wrong, it is not because of me. I couldn't make myself happy or better if I tried, and believe me, I tried. It's because of God. Now hold on, don't roll your eyes, I know. Another story of how someone's horrible life was magically changed by religion and some unseen supernatural entity that we call God. It's cliche, and I probably just lost a lot of people's attentions, but it's fine. Because the story is, even though I'm talking about myself a lot, it's not about me. It's not my story. It's a story of how God worked in me. I wish I could tell you how Jesus came into and completely changed my life, but if I'm being honest, I don't really even understand it. One day, I walked into this building next to my best friend after ghosting C groups for a year because I felt like I didn't belong. I eventually joined a group that saw me, heard me, loved me, and didn't judge me. And 2 months after that, I found Jesus again. After wavering in my faith and being unsure of my place, who I was, and if trying to serve someone who didn't see me was even worth it. At Bible and Beach in 2021, I realized that that was a lie that I had been told over and over again, and I started to believe it. And the day after, I got rebaptized and recommitted my life to Jesus. And that's when everything changed. I didn't feel alone anymore. I don't feel alone anymore. Matthew 22:14 says, "For many are called, but few are chosen." And even though I didn't believe that anyone would want to choose me, I know that Jesus did, and my friends did, and he's chosen you too. I was chosen to go through all of this so that way I could be an advocate for Jesus and show people what he has done in my life and how he can work in yours as well. I have a stronger relationship with the staff, my leaders, and my friends than I've ever had with anyone in my entire life. Whenever I walk into this building or I'm around my friends, I have a family, a community that surrounds me and always builds me up, loves me no matter what, and helps me through all of my daily battles. And not only do they help me be the best me I can be, but they also push me towards God. They push me to have a stronger relationship with him. They challenge me to have a real relationship with the one who made me. Galatians 6:2 says, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." And Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." And my C group is such a strong example of living this out. The whole group is constantly growing in faith together, learning more about Jesus through one another's stories, and building each other up to have a stronger and better relationship with the Lord. And this whole room is filled with people and leaders who want to do the exact same thing for you. So, I'm telling you this because I want you to know that you're not alone. My story has a lot of miniature stories in it with all different types of struggles and hardships. So I know without a doubt that someone, if it's only one person in this building, but still someone, can relate to your story in some way. You're not alone, and it doesn't matter if it's your 100th time walking into this building or it's your first. You're seen, you're loved, and you're heard. Even if you don't feel like it, you are. This staff cares about you, these leaders care about you, I care about you, and more importantly, God cares about you. And in my story, this building has a huge part of what changed me. These people I created bonds with ended up bonding me with God, the one who truly changed my life, my point of view, and my perspective. In the midst of grief and hardship and loneliness, I have joy and hope, true, holy, unexplainable joy, and a hope that one day all of this pain will leave, a hope that I'll get to see my parents again, and a hope for a better tomorrow. It makes no sense, and I can't explain it, but it's true. And it can happen for you too. If you don't get anything else out of the spark note of my life story, I want you to get this. It won't make sense. You'll ask a lot of questions, and you'll ask why. Why me? Why this? Why now? Why God? Then you'll find people who move you in the right direction, and now you ask, how? How is this joy and hope in the middle of this horror possible? How did God make something good out of bad? I don't know how, and I'm not up here to tell you how, because I'm still asking those questions myself. I don't think you'll really ever stop asking. You might never get the answer, but that's okay, because you don't need the answer to know that giving your life to God and continually pursuing a real relationship with him is the best thing that could ever happen to you. Listen, the best advice I can give you is to keep coming back. Get plugged in, get engaged, to be here every week. Every time these doors are open, be here. And be open yourself. Be open to change, to the people around you, and be open to God's voice. One day, everything will change. Your life will not get easier, but it will get better. And you won't know how it's possible, but it happened. Just lay it all out before God. Lay your life, your struggles, your anxieties, your everything. Lay it all out before God, and he will handle the rest. Will you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for today. I want to thank you for this building and that it's a place that we can come and get to know you better. I want to thank you for the leaders who are willing to be here every week just because they care and love about us and they want to live out your mission. I want to thank you for the staff working every day to make sure that this building is fun and inviting and a safe place for students to come to. I want to pray for everyone who just heard me speak, that you would work in their lives and that they would know and believe that you will meet them right where they are right now. And that they would be open and willing to listen for you and to give their all to you. I want to pray for the rest of the night that it continues to go well and we can have a good rest of our time here. I want to pray for any student that has questions. I want to pray that you would give them the boldness to ask someone. And I want to pray for our groups and our communities around us, that you would grow us closer and strengthen our bonds to each other so we can grow in faith together and grow closer to you in the process. In your name I pray, amen.